All right, welcome in. Steve Bonham. I am joined here by Dave Fiorella. Dave, how's it going today?
It's good. I'm having a great time. I'm really looking forward to getting into this. This should be a lot of fun.
Oh, this is going to be very interesting for sure. So we've
Yeah.
been working on this a lot in the background, but we've talked about the stat book several times over the last year and a half, basically. Um, Working with Dave and all the fantastic work he's put on that, and then our stats that we've put into it too, with all of our projections and everything. So now what we've been working on is we have a whole stat book specifically for the upcoming Scott Fish Bowl 12. So if you go to our website, importantnonsense.com, in the main menu right now, I have up here SFB 12 stat book, and that'll take you to the page, assuming my internet wants to run along with it. There we go. So this is the whole explainer. It's very similar to the page that I have explaining our regular stat book, except the slight variations that we have with the information for Scott Fishbowl. But basically what you'll do is you'll come to this page, you'll click on the image, and then it'll ask you, hey, do you want to make a copy of this sheet? And you definitely want to make a copy, and it'll immediately put it into your Google Drive for you. But this is just basically what'll happen is it'll create this for you, and you'll come to this page first, the README, with all the basic information that you need for what it is, how it works, and then the abbreviations that are used throughout it on the next tab. The frequently asked questions, which still basically apply to this, right? I mean,
Yep. Yeah, we've edited them to fit this.
yeah. And then you have the settings tab. Now, unlike the normal stat book, you don't have to do anything at all with the settings. This is all preset with Scott Fish Bowl rosters, starters, scoring, number of teams, rounds, third round reversal. It's all already in there for you. All you have to do is input the names of all the teams in your draft and then select which one of the teams is actually you. So let's see. If I put Steve at 5 and I put Dave down there at 5. So I'm 3, Dave's 5. And then if I tried to pick 3, it wouldn't be there anymore. Now it says Steve. But there you go. So now that's me. I'm Steve. And if we go to the tracker tab, it's going to show you the best available players on the board. Everything green highlighted is my team. So if you go back to the settings and I pick Dave in the 5 spot, now the 5 spot is everything that's highlighted there. And this is just an example of these are, like a mock run through of what would happen in the first 5 rounds, right?
Yep.
So now we're on the clock, 6th round, first pick, and it's saying the best available player at this point based on our projections through value-based drafting, which again is based off of your team. Oh, up here in the corner, let's say you're Dave.
Yeah, make sure you change that as well.
Mm-hmm. So you've got your quarterbacks, you've got your running back, and then Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews. So let's just say, what do we got here? 5, or let's just make it easy on ourselves here. So what is this? We're at 6, so that's team 1. So let's just say we're team 1. So we'll go back to the tracker. We're team 1. So now you've got Josh Allen, Leonard Fournette, and you've got 3 wide receivers. And it's telling you that based on your team build, these are the best players available. And you'll notice that as you change the teams here too, so like for each team, the players are going to change as well because it's all based on your team build. Like team 1 had a different set of best available compared to this team because on my team, I have no wide receivers right now. So it's telling me I should be prioritizing wide receiver pretty heavily and then mixed in some decent values at running back as well. But we have formulas running in the background that'll tell the VBD formula like, hey, this is the best player at each position or what you should be targeting this round and looking at. But just going back to our example, team 1 on the clock, it's saying best available for them is Saquon Barkley. So if we go down here and you type Saquon Barkley, automatically pops up. select him, and then it'll change to running back, New York Giants by week 9. And now you've got your team updated over here as well. And the best available for that team has now changed because now you know, okay, I need a second quarterback because it's a super flex league. And I still need a third running back. I still need a starting tight end, which are creeping up the board now in importance. But yeah, there you go. That's
basically... Yeah, and if I can jump in real quick, you also get on the to the left of your team there. I think it's really helpful, these little boxes we added that shows you kind of, first off, you have the breakdown of what's been taken already, so you can kind of get an idea also of, if something's starting to run dry. Most likely, tight ends, because those are pretty low at the middle sections. Then you have, the breakdowns for what your team is, and it highlights in green the areas you have left. So right now you have it set up where it's telling you, hey, by the way, you still have a tight end and kicker you need for your starting roles. And then the available points tiers is another great addition. You can look at the side there. It shows kind of buckets out players by their projected points. And I think that's really useful because you can, see your tiers much better through that system instead of clicking all the individual tabs. So while you're sitting here on the tracker, you still have the opportunity to see how those point tiers break down.
Yeah, 100%. It's very cool. And I, like you said, I love this aspect up here too, the drafted, just because I'll be running through it and I'm like, wait a minute, I just got that player where? Like, I just picked Saquon Barkley and he was the 23rd running back off the board. I was like, that's screaming value. And like, I hate, my biggest pet peeve about Sleeper, and it changes, it varies from week to week, but like right now, it's just like that. Like, where did I get Saquon Barkley? RB23. Yeah. Well, this tells you this was RB23. So
and it totals out, your starters across all the teams, so you can get an idea of like what other people are going to be shooting for. You're like, oh, there's only 2 people who need starters left at this position, so hey, that might be more valuable to me right now, something like that. So it's definitely something worth keeping an eye on at the side there.
It's very cool. And this best available too. Like I mentioned, we have the complicated value-based drafting formula running in the background. If you don't want to sort it by that, we have projections. All the projections in the system here are my projections that I build in the spring. If you don't want to use that, you can change them to your own. Feel free. The ECR is just based on expert consensus rankings.
That's kind of one I don't recommend you sort by, but it still can be helpful. But as you can see here, like the higher ECR players are going to be like kickers right now, because other stuff's off the board. So you can filter by that, but it's one you really have to be paying attention.
Well, and that's a good one where if you're going to look at ECR, sort it by position.
Yeah, absolutely. So
like ECR says best available quarterback are these, as opposed to doing everything. And then you've got ADP, and the ADP data is up to date as of today or yesterday?
Yesterday, I think we updated it. Yeah.
Okay. And that's all that information is pulled from Jeff Lambert going for 2, all the mocks that they've been doing on their Discord. So we appreciate all that. It's all through Sleeper. So it's going to be skewed slightly by Sleeper's ADP, but for the most part, it's still pretty much in line, you were saying, with my fantasy league. So it's not
for the most part. There's, one player is up a little here and there. And we're going to keep this updated every once in a while, throughout this week.
Yeah. And then let's see. So the value over the last starter, again, basic calculation of just how many are starting in each position, and then what we have as the projected last starter. So right now, if you go to the individual position tabs, you can see all the players that are crossed out, marked in red. They've already been drafted by someone else. The one that's highlighted green has been drafted by your team. And then anybody who is not highlighted in any way is still available. And the calculation is based off of the projections here. So value over last starter is going to be, in the case of quarterbacks, 24 starting expected because you have the starting quarterback and a super flex. So who's the 24th rated quarterback in projections, and how much better is the projection of quarterback X compared to that quarterback? Let's see.
Yeah, and just one little thing while you're on that, like it's important to note that if you're on the position tabs, those are ordered by ECR versus projection. So sometimes, a player will be ranked by the quote unquote experts higher than what your projections might be here. So just remember, if you're looking at the position tabs, it's ordered by ECR, not projection. So that's why you may have a player a little later on your list here showing up with a higher projected number than someone ranked higher.
Yeah, 100%. And then you got strength of schedule. Let's see. GP? What's GP? I don't remember.
Games played. I don't remember that being a filter option, but I guess that would be games played from last year. Yeah.
Also age. And then
that's from, like, if you're using the basic stat book and you use it more dynasty wise, that kind of thing is more important there. This is a carryover, so there are some things that may not be as relevant, but then again, maybe you're looking at some older guy and you're like, I don't want to take him because he's older. He may have that higher injury risk.
Yeah.
So you may find some relevance.
So this to me is the coolest part of the entire thing. You go through, you have the third round reversal, like I mentioned, but it's got everything. So it has all 22 rounds, does all the teams, and then the teams breakdown will show you everybody top to bottom, what they've drafted, but analysis. So this analysis tab, you can pick any team in the pool. And like I said, I'll go with just me. So this will show you on the left-hand side over here, the starters or all position players for that team. And then the bye week distribution. So when they're, weakest, basically. The season projection based on the projections that I put in there. So that's the totals for everybody. And then position density, so their roster build, how their projections are being affected by what positions, which I think is very cool. Strengths and weaknesses, and then biggest steals and reach depending on the ADP that's in the system. So where you were able to grab them compared to what the input ADP is. So this is a cool, like, one-shot picture of your whole team to share and say, hey, this is how I did. This is how I'm looking. To me, this is the best part of the whole thing. Like, I love this feature.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I'm the kind of person who is always stressing about bye week distribution. So that one alone, I'm constantly, if I go to this tab and I realize, oh man, my week 9 is just ruined. Then I start to panic. So I'm the kind of person when I'm using this, I'm always looking at the analysis tab. I'm always checking out my bye weeks, just making sure I don't have those overlaps.
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, I think this to me is the coolest feature in the whole thing. Just to be able to look at everything at a glance and see how you think you did, and then easily just from the drop down be able to look at each other team and just compare across the board how everybody did. Very cool. Very cool. But again, all of this is available on our website right now for free. So go to importantnonsense.com and click it in the menu and grab this for the drafts this weekend. We would definitely appreciate it. So Dave, thank you for your time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And all the work on the stat book as always. And thank you all for watching and checking it out. We appreciate it. Have a good one.
Take it easy.